Good morning guys and welcome to the show. Today we have two brand new motorsport products from Kenwood. They are the KAC M5024BT, that's right, BT for Bluetooth, and the KAC M5014 4-channel amplifier. Let's take a look. Kenwood has made a small Bluetooth amplifier in the past. Comes with a cool controller, and they've had it for several years now, and it's really nice. However, like all things, it's time to update them, and they've decided to go all out and really update that product. Some of the previous complaints were it didn't have enough channels, it wasn't expandable enough, it didn't have enough power, and they listened, and that brought out these products. They look very similar, and for the most part, they are the same amount of power. However, this one is a Bluetooth, this one is not, but they are made to where you can actually use the two of them together. Let's take a closer look at each one of them. We'll start with the Bluetooth amplifier here, and you'll see what I mean. What you get in the box is the 4-channel amplifier, the controller that has an 8-foot cable, and the cup for the controller. Now there's more than one way to mount this controller. The cup comes with little push tabs here on the side that allows you to cut out a hole and snap this into place. The controller has a 1/4-20 thread on the back. If you have some kind of handlebar mount, this will screw into place and you can lock it on, as well as it's a big enough flat surface that if you wanted to apply some double-sided tape, you could also stick it on. The unit itself has a seal cast aluminum chassis with a drain tunnel on the bottom. What I mean by that is when you hold it up like this, so if you'll notice this notch here, that gives an 1/8 of an inch gap to raise this bottom plate off of the surface you're going to mount it on, and it's all the way around the unit. That way if there is a small amount of condensation that gets around the amplifier, it's not sitting flat onto something. Also, this is a stainless steel bottom plate, and there's a gasket inside of this, which we'll show you once we remove the bottom off of the amplifier. The full power on this amplifier is 50 watts by 4 at 4 ohm. Previous small amplifiers like this were only capable of doing 4 ohm. This one, however, will play 4-channel 2 ohm, and that's going to be 75 watts per channel. It's also capable of turning into a 2-channel, so this amplifier will do 4, 3, or 2-channel mode. That way you can use channels 1 and 2 to power a front speaker set and bridge channels 3 and 4 off to a subwoofer if you have a small vehicle, or if you just want to use this to power a set of speakers like some towers, you just have a left and right speaker and you want a whole bunch of power to go to them, you can bridge both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and get 150 watts by 2. We are going to be putting these amplifiers on the Amp Dyno, so we'll be able to get real power and not just what the piece of paper says. Along with this full aluminum chassis, this is IP76 and 66 rated. That means that this product can be submerged in 3 feet of water for 30 minutes and can resist high pressure, heavy spray of water, and also it's sealed against dust entry. It also has the ASTM B117 certification, which also means this amplifier is safe against salt spray, corrosion, harsh conditions from the saltwater environment. It's also ASTM B117 certified. This means this won't fail in harsh conditions such as salt water, salt spray, salt fog. Basically, if you live in a southern condition where there's going to be salt water, it's safe against that. And because it is made to go into these harsh environments, such as on some form of water vehicle or side-by-side or motorcycle or golf cart, it's also protected against vibration damage. This product was tested on a 3-axis multi-frequency vibration test. It means they shook the heck out of it to make sure that everything stays where it's supposed to. One of the things that separates this product from the standard 4-channel product is the end here. The Bluetooth module is going to be a different end. The ends themselves, as you can see here, is a nice aluminum and a full gasket. They even have gaskets on the screws themselves. To get the end panel off, it has 3 Phillips screws. There is a little pull tab on the right side here, as you can see on this end. That's designed so you can get your finger on there and pull this up if it is sticking to it. The first knob you see says fader. Because this is for Bluetooth, which is a left and right source only, the ability to fade it between channels 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 might be necessary. To do that, you can turn this dial and it'll give you more volume to channel 1 and 2, less volume to 3 and 4, or turn it the other way. That way, if you have speakers, let's say in the front of your boat and they're really obnoxiously loud, or you have speakers in the back of the boat and they're really obnoxiously loud, you can control those here. Channels 1 and 2 and channels 3 and 4, high pass, low pass crossover that is variable between 50 and 200 hertz. It's high pass and low pass and also off. You get to choose here and here which one you would like. To tell it the configuration you're going to be using, whether it be 2-channel, 3-channel, or 4-channel, is this switch here. When you flick it to the left, it's 2-channel mode. If you flick it to the right, it's 3 or 4-channel mode. Looking at the powering harness that comes off of the unit, you have a 10 gauge power wire with a 40 amp fuse, 10 gauge ground. All of these wires are about 12 inches long. It has a remote turn on. There are 8 speaker wires and they are standard color. White and white black, which is channel 1, gray black, which is channel 2, green black is channel 3, and purple black is channel 4. Solids are positive, stripes are negative. It has a single RCA output. So think of this as having the potential to power 2 to 4 speakers, and then if you'd like to go off to another amplifier, which level is controllable through the controller, you can do that. That's kind of where the functionality of having this amp comes into place. Then there's this big 8 gauge thick wire here. This is for the controller. It has a clip on one end, a receiver on the other. It will only go in one way. If you try to put it upside down, it gets stuck. Clip it into place. Once you hear the click, you know you're attached. The controller is designed to be used when wearing gloves. It has a giant volume knob on it that makes it very easy to get a hold of. The buttons are also spaced out far enough to where you won't have to worry about accidentally hitting one or the other. Some of the buttons are multifunction and some of them are single function. Let's power it up and take a look at how the controller works. When the unit powers up for the first time, the 2 lights will blink blue. If you're powering it up later, if you press and hold the play pause button, that'll also activate this mode, which is pairing. Go to your settings, Bluetooth. This is going to be the RC-WPAMP-BT. When you tap it, it'll communicate, it'll stop blinking, and your volume knob will light up on the top. Your music will also start playing. The volume gives you a display across the top, which is really nice. One of the biggest complaints we get with Bluetooth devices like this is I have no idea what volume it is at. And when you're between tracks or changing tracks or something like that, and you start up, it blasts you out of the vehicle, or it makes it sound like you blew a speaker. Track up and down are located here. If you turn your volume up on your device, it'll also control the volume on this. This is an infinite spin volume knob. Some of these buttons on this, like the play pause pairing button, are multifunction. If I'm listening and I press the button, it will pause the music I'm listening to. The EQ button also has a dual function. That's to control the auxiliary. For the EQ though, this has 7 preset EQ settings. And they are natural, rock, pop, easy, top 40, jazz, and powerful. But to control this set of RCAs, press and hold. The 70 LEDs will light up, giving you a visual of the output sound. These speakers are in a place where you can't actually hear them or they're facing backwards. You'll have a graphic representation. You'll also know this little blue light here is lit to tell you that that's what mode you're in. Hit the volume knob, which is its multifunction, and it'll exit out of that control. Since we have sound playing, we can demonstrate that front to rear fader capability. We have 2 speakers hooked up now, playing the volume at a moderate level, tuned to one speaker, tuned to the other speaker. One thing that's missing from this amplifier, and you might be wondering why, is there is no gain control on this. And the reason for that is it doesn't need one. This is the only source that's ever going to play on it. If you do add a secondary amplifier, then you will need to adjust the gain controls. Which brings us to the major difference between the 2 units. This is just a straight amplifier. And located right here, you'll see the 2 gain controls. You also have a 2-channel or 4-channel switch, depending on how you'd like to run the 2 pairs of RCA inputs. If you would like to connect this to the 5024BT using these RCAs, you would set it to 2-channel mode. Connect these two together, you could make this a 2-channel mono amplifier, connect it to a set of tubbies, use this for your other 4 speakers or 8 speakers because it will do 2 ohm, and then use the volume control on here to control the output level of the M5014. I know a lot of you would like to see what's inside this amplifier, so let's flip this thing over, pull out the screws, and take a look and see what makes this thing tick. Screws removed, a look at the corrosion resistant back panel. Notice the rubber gasket on it. On the top here is the signal input along with all the gain controls and switches for the amplifier. This is your input connector that goes into it. It's packed quite tightly. Look at the way they've connected the power here. They're metal studs that allow them to use thicker wire to enable high current flow between the amplifier and the battery, resulting in powerful bass reproduction and enhanced overall sound quality, basically allowing them to get that 10 gauge into this small amplifier. You'll notice these 4 polymer multi-layer capacitors, they're used in the LC filter circuit to decrease the distortion, ensuring clear, detailed, and enhanced overall sound quality. It's just amazing how much stuff they've gotten into this small case. These small amplifiers are always quite impressive. It's amazing how much stuff they can put into such a small footprint. Putting numbers on a piece of paper is one thing. Let's take this over to the Amp Dyno and see what kind of power we really get out of it. For the first test, we will be using this in 4-channel mode. We have 2 of the channels hooked up to the Amp Dyno, channel 1 and 2. Channel 3 and 4 are going to a pair of load resistors inside of this heatsink to simulate the stress that having speakers connected to it will do to the power supply. The second test we'll be taking these off of here and we'll be running the amplifier in the 2-channel mode. The first test will be the certified dyno run. This test is going to be a 2-channel 4 ohm load. And that test gave us 61 and 76 watts. We'll reset the dyno and do the 2 ohm test. And at 2 ohm, we get 134 and 132 watts. The next round of tests will be the uncertified dyno run, and that gave us 76 and 81 watts. 2-channel 2 ohm uncertified. We got 134 and 132. The last 2-channel test we'll be doing is the dynamic power run. The 4 ohm test gave us 68 and 79 watts. 2-channel 2 ohm test dynamic. And that gave us 130 watts and 128 watts. We'll reset the dyno right now. The first test up is the certified dyno run. This will be 2-channel bridged at 4 ohms. It gave us a 273 and a 261. Now this amplifier is not capable of doing 2 ohm bridged, so we'll move on to the uncertified test. That yielded 277 and 261. The last test will be the dynamic power, 252 and a 255. This thing has a ton of power.